Good morning, Francis. I just wanted to show you the progress on your boat. The bleeding has stopped on the structural work that we had to do. Almost every rib, it might actually be every rib on this side, has been replaced. And then the last part of that, what we discovered in the process of doing that, was that part of the stem right here was rotted. This is the stem where the bow planks come together. And then this is called a gripe. And then, of course, the end of the keel had some rot in it that had to be changed. So all that is in place permanently now. And it's quite an operation. It's not such a bad operation if we were rebuilding your boat, or if we were building your boat brand new. But we actually, you make your blank, and then you try to fit it, and you remove the wood with a hand plane that is preventing it. It's all been removed. That was preventing the planks from coming back together in the front of the boat, and all that's done by hand with multiple in and out trials in order to get it to fit properly. So this is a stem. You'll see the grain runs up and down at the same angle as the stem, and then you see the section of the keel that we had to replace. That's a horizontal section there, and the grain runs horizontally on the piece that we put in, and then we have what's called the gripe in the center, and that gripe, you see the grain is running at about a 45 to the keel, and about a 45 to the stem. And that is all done on purpose. The grain running those directions is all done on purpose. I'm not sure why the gripe is called a gripe. I used to call it a knee, and I hear people call it a knee from time to time. I came up with an idea that maybe because the people that have to make that gripe about it, I don't know. But anyway, and curiously, like if this was a big ship, you'd have a woman's breast on the front, right? And there's a structural member called a breast hook in the boats, and I wonder if that's where that name came from. But anyway, I digress. But anyway, the bleeding has stopped on the structural work. All of these ribs and the stem, gripe, and keel section replacement. It's odd. All of the it's not terribly odd, but all of the rot seems to have been on this side of the boat, and that probably comes from the fact that, once the infections got started on this side of the boat, then any water remaining in the boat on this side bathed that rot and let that rot migrate from point to point on that one side of the boat, and evidently that protected the other side of the boat, because we could hunt for it, we could take that plank off, but there's no rot that's called the garboard plank. This lower plank on this side is called the garboard plank. The lower plank that's going to go back on this side is also a garboard plank. On either side of the keel is the garboard. So we could, this garboard plank on this side was rotted in multiple areas all down the length of the boat. That's why we decided to replace the entire plank, or entire strake of planks, strake being a row of planks. That's why we decided to replace the entire row. This other side has no indication of any rot in the outer planks, which the rot in the outer planks on this side, on the starboard side of the boat, came from the structure underneath. So, and it migrated to the plank. So we think we're all right on that side, perhaps for my lifetime and yours as well. So we're going to treat the inside of this. Once we got all this put in, we're going to all the planks put back on. We're going to treat the inside of this with a borax solution, and we make our own now, but we have purchased it. It's called it used to be called Timber, and it's a borax solution. It's made with hot water and basically 20 Multein borax, believe it or not. and the borax is what kills the fungus, the rot, which is a fungus. So anyway, we've already got one of the new planks installed back here in the back. You see that light spot back there? One of the new planks installed. This plank is ready to install up here, or being prepared to install up here. You can see, we're making this from the highest quality plywood. This is a BS 1088, and you can look at BS 1088 specifications on the internet. BS stands for British Standard, and it's 1088. It's for marine plywood, and this is 1/2 inches thick. And you can see we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plies. Whereas the stuff that yours was originally built with was probably 5 plies, and it was fir plywood, and then it was covered with a overlay, and that overlay almost like a cardboard. I'm not really sure exactly what it was, but it looks like cardboard overlay. Not a corrugated cardboard, but just that. But anyway, the overlay, which gives you smooth paint. And it was also, that product was also used for concrete forms. So this will outlast. When the rest of the boat's gone, this will still be there. So anyway, that's the good news. I'm going to be contacting you shortly about, well, probably I have to check, but I think we're probably due for another invoice, and we'll put that money on completing the planking, which the completion of the planking is hopefully going to come in a little under budget to offset, what we found here. So a question about the decks. Do you want a wholesale replacement of the plywood on the decks, or do you want a repair on the decks? And then I'm working on the engine. There's a number of things that we can do about the controls. Of course, we looked at hydraulic steering. That's probably your most economic on that. And then, but there is electric steering now as well. So we can price that for you and see if that saves you any money. I just got a new catalog, and there's an electric steering that's being touted in that. And then electric actuators and a controller. Let's see, what else was I going to ask you about? And then we have instrumentation. What you might want to do about instrumentation. There are several options. There are, we can go flat screen, glass cockpit basically, or we can do a typical gauge set. So those are some of the possibilities, so that's about all I got right now. I do have a price on an outboard. I believe I shared that with you. A couple of options too around that, and there might be ways to save money here. So your transom, had a hole in it for an outdrive, and of course it was not a particularly. I think maybe when it first came out, it was varnished, and over the years that the layer of that was varnished failed, and so it didn't look so hot. There's a couple options I'm kind of entertaining. Your transom structurally is okay. You've got a hole right here, but that hole could be filled and plated on the backside, for additional strength where the hole was. And that transom could probably be reused, especially if we didn't make an outboard well back here. If we were to put your outboard on a jack plate, which so that could save you a substantial amount of money. We could actually, if you wanted the varnished look, we could veneer this back here. If you're not concerned about the varnished look, We can make this look very nice painted, like the rest of the boat. And then if you want it varnished, there was a trim back here, or a trim that could be put on that has, you have some aluminum to this side, and then you have a lip on the aluminum that would cover this edge. And my thought would be to we veneer this all the way out to the edge. We put that trim on, and that would probably save you quite a bit of money. So, and if you don't, and varnish is way more expensive than paint. So, because you got to put we make sure it's perfectly flat. We stain it, we seal it, which it should be perfectly flat buying firewood or plywood. We stain it, we seal it, 4 coats. We put 6 coats of varnish on it within 24 hours of each other. Then we sand that to get rid of the orange peel that inevitably shows up. We sand that. Then we do 4 more coats of varnish, 4 to 5. It's kind of like, well, I could do 4, but I can't do anything on Monday through Thursday. But Friday, I might as well just put another coat on it because it needs to sit for the next sanding. And so then we would sand that the next week and put a final on it. And so that you can see that's a lot of sanding. It's a lot of application. Whereas if we were to paint it, we'd put 2 or 3 coats of epoxy barrier coat on it, then 2 or 3 coats of white, and do one sanding and then one final coat of white. So, or whatever color you choose for it, but I would imagine it's going to be white. So, some thoughts there. To offset the cost of the structural work further. So anyway, that just some, it would save you a lot of money versus replacing the transom and then going through the process that I described for varnishing, or even the process for paint. So just give it some thought. Let us know what you'd like to do. And the potential saving is probably in the $5,000 range. And that's if we were to use this and just paint this. Your savings is probably in the $5,000 range. If you want to avoid the more extensive, like varnishing and so forth, well, I probably need to put a number on this. I'm confusing myself talking about it, so I'm not sure it's gonna be clear to you. So I would need to put some numbers against that as what the potential savings are. But anyway, with that, I want to just like I said, I wanted to show you the updated information, the latest, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.